Welcome, guys. VIP pre-market prep. We nailed it 3 days in a row with lots of really good calls every single morning. Let's see if we can get a fourth. So what do we have this morning? Last night we had Apple, Amazon, Intel earnings. Let's see how they did and how that's impacting the markets. We'll go over our news flow and see if there's any other opportunities as well. So Apple basically was mixed results, right? The report itself was good, but there was some caution, some guidance given towards the future. But Apple really had the best report out of all the mega caps, right? Out of the big tech. You have Amazon that went down big. You see there. We'll talk about it in a second. We have Meta, which crashed. Microsoft, which crashed. Google. Apple had the best report in terms of beating the earnings, but the guidance was a little bit soft as well. So all in all, before that guidance came in the CC, the stock actually went to like 148. Now it's rebounded. It's about flat for the day. So that's holding up the markets right now. Now, a couple other things which I think are really going to play in favor of the market. You see Amazon here is now $95 after a terrible report. Worries about, consumer demand and Forex hurting them. But the $95, but last night it went all the way to $85. Now, unfortunately, in post-market wrap last night, I had the wrong analysis, the wrong chart on here. I've always been talking about the pre-COVID high and the COVID crash low as the opportunity zone for big cap tech and for the major indices. And I was looking at this because that's a bigger move here back in 2018. I thought that was it. It's actually here. It's this little move here. This was a pre-COVID high and the COVID crash low. The COVID crash low was around $85 or so. Well, 82, 83. It was somewhere in the low 80s, right? So it got very close there. I think it was $84, $85 yesterday in after hours, and it bounced off of that. So I think that's a very good sign that that's where the bottom is for Amazon. Now, it may have to retest that level during regular hours at some point in the next few weeks or months at $85, but I like that it bounced off of that level. I think that was a good sign for the market. Now, Intel, maybe even a better sign. Now, perfectly correct. During the day, he recently got into Intel, and his prediction was basically Intel is priced for the absolute worst. So even if it goes down a little bit, that's fine. I'll buy more after earnings. And he was absolutely right. It was priced for the absolute worst because Intel actually lowered guidance. I think they beat in the report, but they lowered guidance, and it's all about guidance. You don't see stocks going up when they lower guidance unless maybe you're near a bottom. Okay. So price for the worst, at least Intel maybe near a bottom, or the bottom may be in because lowered guidance, but the stock is up 5%. So that also very good sign for the market. What's the other great sign for the market is everything we talked about yesterday morning was all those awesome earnings from, let's see if we can still have them here, Honeywell, Comcast, McDonald's, Teladoc, Caterpillar, Shop, right? All of those, really good sign yesterday. Diversified industries doing really well. What's another great sign? Energy, part of the S&P 500. Energy this morning reported. Chevron, ExxonMobil. Guess what? We haven't been on top of these. That's perhaps a shortcoming of something I can improve on, but we haven't really talked about these big energy names. I think it's just like too easy. Look at this big W bottoming pattern on Chevron. You see that? That's a thing of beauty. But in any case, Chevron, ExxonMobil reported earnings both at 52-week highs, probably all-time highs on both of these. I only go back 5 years in this Ameritrade chart. I believe they're both the all-time highs. Occidental Petroleum, not far behind in terms of 52-week high. Maybe that's a laggard. Maybe there's an opportunity in Occidental Petroleum today. And you can see how XLE, again, I've missed this. I've missed this in the last few months. So I apologize that this has not been on my radar. Sometimes we go for the more difficult plays and non-obvious plays. And, sometimes the money really is in the obvious stuff. So in any case, I think this is another factor why S&P 500 maybe is bottoming out here. And yesterday, in the midst of all the carnage, we were saying, and I wasn't the only one, there was an opinion in a room that, hey, S&P 500 may go green tonight or tomorrow. And look, it seems like it's trying to happen. And that's because of the confluence of all these factors we're talking about. Energy, great. The diversified earnings yesterday morning, great. Apple, holding the line. Intel up 6%, lowered guidance. That's really, really, really good news, at least for the short term. Technically, that we can bounce off these oversold levels. So it seems like that's what's happening. These are like the best levels of the morning for SPY. Now, I also want to mention CVI. I mentioned I found a report about diesel. There's a shortage of diesel. I didn't know about this. So there's a shortage of diesel in the States. I put an article in the community yesterday. Matt responded that CVI is his stock for that play. I don't know much about it, but I wanted to throw it out there. He was saying maybe not at this price, so we have to dig more into what he thinks fair value is and what a good price is. But I don't know. This may just move with the big earnings we've seen this morning from the energy names. So just putting that out on your radar. The only other earnings report out this morning that's on our radar is JAKK Pacific. And I don't know how they do it. Up 13%. I mean, they beat on earnings again, beat on revenue. I didn't really see a lot of guidance in the press release, so I think it's advisable to listen to the conference call that they had last night. So I'm a little bit suspect about, like, people are still buying toys and costumes. Like, that hasn't been hit by this consumer discretionary spend. Honestly, I'm a little surprised. Also a little bit surprised at Apple, but the consumer still has strength. It's just they're making decisions where to cut back, and apparently Apple and JAKK are not, JAKK products are not two of them where they're cutting back yet. So I'm a little suspect of the ability for this to sustain into the holiday season. Amazon warned about lightness in the holiday season. So did Apple. So JAKK, a little suspect. Numbers are good. If you want to know anything about guidance, listen to the conference call before you make a decision. But like last quarter, they also killed it. We had this last quarter, a gap and ran the first few days. So I'm not playing this, but just want to let you know about that opportunity. And look at SPY. SPY's turning green. We're right on this. This is the fourth day in a row we've had really good calls in our community, forecasting what the markets are going to do intraday. And let's see if we can pick out any stocks. Now, coming into today, I was hoping, I raised some cash yesterday because I was worried about big tech earnings, and I was hoping I could reload and pick up some stuff on the cheap. Now, what are those? Before I do that, I'm sorry. TLT is down, which I don't like. You can see ARK. ARK just turned green. Okay. If Q or SPY goes up high enough, it's going to pull ARK up with it. But obviously, I like to see the days where TLT is up because that means lower interest rates, which is good for risk assets in ARK. You can see Bitcoin. So we have mixed indicators right now because Bitcoin and risk asset proxy is down. TLT is down, which means higher rates. So mixed signals here in the morning for risk assets. So we'll have to see how that plays out. But if SPY and Q go up high enough, it could just drag up ARK with it. Before I get into some of the opportunities I was looking for in a possible pullback, let me just talk about Twitter. Twitter deal is done, right? Twitter deal is completely done. It's delisted. So what's the impact on DWAC and RUM? Really muted reactions. I am very surprised at the low volume here. No one willing to make a bet. Wow, very interesting. Now, RUM has been up dramatically during the week. Now, at first we thought, hey, it's because Steve Will Do It is coming on, and they had a big live stream with Andrew Tate and Steve Will Do It, and their app rankings went back up, and maybe it's a technical bounce back from that short report, right? Thought it was all that. In retrospect, looking at the price action of Twitter over the last few days and RUM, I actually think it's because of the Twitter deal coming to a close that RUM was so strong this week. Why would that be? I think the initial kind of instinct of most people is, oh, that's competition. But I think last night's activity on Twitter gave a glimpse into why at least that may not be true for the short term. Because now if you have less censorship on the Twitter platform and you have more conservatives, maybe people who are banned, maybe people who now have Rumble accounts can come on Twitter. Well, guess what? YouTube still has the same policies. So if they want to share content, they're going to have to share Rumble links. So it's basically, imagine the ecosystem of these two platforms supporting each other and driving traffic to each other. And I think that may be the bull thesis, why the buyers were buying this week and why the stock was going up this week. So interesting to see if we see follow through on that. That may be an additional sign that that's what's going on. That DWAC was up RUM was up the last few days because of this thesis I just laid out. So very interesting. And based on the activity I saw on Twitter last night, I may be a buyer of Rumble here today, especially if it drops. I think it's going to be volatile. And I think that's the going thesis right now, that somehow Elon Musk at the helm of Twitter, and also people are speculating about partnerships, etc., may be helpful for Rumble. Now, DWAC, I don't know why this thing. I've been saying this thing should be 10 a long time ago, because the chances that this is not even a proxy for Truth Social anymore, right? It's just a SPAC that's kind of stuck in no man's land, and they're not going to get the deal anyway. So it should have been $10 anyway. But now I think this is direct competition, right? Twitter, with Elon Musk at the helm with less censorship, is direct competition with Truth Social, as opposed to Rumble, where they can complement each other. So honestly, like, this thing should go to $10. Will it get there? I'm really surprised at 15K volume and only down 1%. I don't know when it's going to happen. Nothing is a guarantee, but my bet is it does go towards $10. So that's what I'm looking. That's what I'm predicting, is diverging movements. DWAC down over time, Rumble up over time because of the Twitter deal closing. So that's very interesting. Now here's a list of stocks I was hoping to pick up cheap today in case the market went down on Apple earnings, Apple and Amazon earnings. Now, as it turns out, it looks like we're kind of heading green. Okay, we're on the cusp of it. But I did raise some trading cash in case I can pick up Air on the cheap, Rel on the cheap, Clearfield on the cheap. I did actually pick up Air in after hours last night after I saw the price action in Apple and Amazon last night. I started buying some Air at like 1970 just for a trade in my trade account. Rel, I'd love to see a big pullback. Clearfield is very sensitive to big movements in SPY, especially in the opening minutes. So hoping I can get something on there in case we do turn around and we go down. XXII, I've seen opportunities in that also drop in very significantly with the market just in the first few minutes before rebounding. So these are all stocks. And by the way, we have earnings coming up for COM next week and Clearfield the following week after that. I want to bring up Biotricity. We've noted the unusual price action a few days ago, and we didn't know why. See that heavy volume? Well, I think these guys had a leak because the news came out yesterday about a launch of some product from pilots to a full launch. No numbers really attached to it. There is a little bit of a TAM they mention of have access to their technology. This is why it's up. I'm not following it closely anymore. We did interview the CEO at least twice, so you can check out on youtube.com/StoryTrading and research Biotricity a little bit more if you're interested. ADM, I sold yesterday. My trading shares hit my target of $95. That was a swing from 90 to 95. I do think this is going to all-time highs, so this is something I'm considering picking up on a pullback. It's already down a little bit this morning. Arch had a huge day yesterday. I picked up some BTU and sympathy, and I think I may just hold that into BTU earnings next week. Other things with XLE up really strong, with all the energy names up really strong. Can we get a sentiment bid in the uranium names? It's really kind of underperformed XLE recently. I have at least a 10% position in all sorts of uranium names in my portfolio, so hopefully those will get a bid with energy. MobileEye, I'm looking for pullbacks. I'd definitely be interested in buying strong pullbacks, especially towards $25, $26, based on the analysis we had from Chris Tuttle the other day from IPO Candy. Other things I'm potentially looking at, ACTG, I did get a position in this based on the contribution from Matt Kolb in our community. He's expecting a restructuring deal to close today, to be announced Monday, that will add 10 to 20% to the value of ACTG. So I'm holding that and hoping that we get that news. Drio, waiting for news. Man, it's tough to have that patience. We'll see what happens. CVV, Julian had some great commentary, on Wolfspeed earnings yesterday, which were terrible. By the way, we called that right, the big bounce back. Right, we were right about Wolfspeed yesterday morning, that was overdone, right? Because it's not a demand issue, it's a capacity issue, and that's a good problem to have, even though it's going to cost some money. So it was overdone, bounced right back. But anyway, in the commentary on Wolfspeed, we had commentary on silicon carbide, how the demand is going to explode through the end of the decade. and CVV, they manufacture silicon carbide. Maybe that's why it was up yesterday. Very strong day yesterday. I'll be watching this. Maybe if it gets cheap on a pullback, I may pick some up. And that's about all we got. So let's see where we're at with SPY, minus 0.12%. Pretty good. And the main thing I want to point out is we're seeing divergence, right? We're seeing that the markets are stable enough for, it's not a market-wide liquidation. So that's really good. Like if you can find stocks that are profitable, cash flow positive, you see it. Some of these agriculture names heading to all-time highs, energy names to all-time highs, the communications names like Clearfield and Com and Calix probably heading to all-time highs. Like all these stocks are doing great, making great money. So there's lots of opportunities to make money if you can find the good companies that are cash flow positive. So it's not that like really fearful market where you're liquidating everything. And I like that. I like that environment. It's good for stock trading. So, all right. Good luck today, guys. Let me just recap to see if there's anything that will be like kind of my top on my radar today. You know what? Like yesterday, we did a good job with all of those earnings names that did well in the morning. Maybe these energy names will be good to pick up intraday as day trades. That's something I may be looking at. Oh yeah, rum. I think I want to play that if it dives down. If air gets a pop, I'll sell my trading shares I picked up on the cheap yesterday, and I'll just be looking to pick up things on the cheap because I actually have some cash now. ADM, another one I want to pick up on the cheap. I have some cash now because I raised in the afternoon yesterday, so I'm happy I did that. Got some flexibility today. Hope this commentary helps you guys. I'll be back around 4 p.m. for our post-market wrap. We don't have a show this weekend. I'm trying to get we have the World Series Monday night. Actually, it starts tonight, but also Monday night there's a World Series, so we're not going to do a show then. And then, man, I was really trying to get VTSI for Sunday night. It didn't work out, but I'll let you know next time we have a special event at night. And until then, we'll continue with our morning and afternoon shows. So I'll see you here at 4 p.m. for post-market wrap. Thanks for joining. If you're seeing the replay here on YouTube at 4 p.m., you can become a VIP for free, 7-day risk-free trial. And if you don't like it, you can always cancel. By the way, Drio is dropping today our interview with management last Friday with Rick Anderson. That's going live at some point this afternoon. And I have word that Dario is interested in sending that interview out to their entire network as well. So look out for that. All right, guys, have a good day. See you soon.